Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to my Saturday morning's IELTS lesson B1. As you might be aware, this class is ongoing class and is mostly targeted for the IELTS candidates. If you are one of them, possibly you might consider to join this lesson. And obviously, you can learn a lot of things, rubrics, tips, bits and bytes, and all kinds of information. Hello, Sufyan. Welcome. So, dear viewers, being a new user, possibly you might be eligible to get to free lessons. You can always cross-check by visiting my profile and clicking on the subscription button. It is really an amazing opportunity for you to join any teacher on a free trial basis. And after that, if you think that these classes are helpful, possibly you might be able to subscribe and move on. Hello, Sharf, welcome. So, once again, guys, it's Saturday morning here in the UK, and our lesson is IELTS exam. And many a times, many people ask this question, very common question. I don't have much idea about English, but may I still pass the IELTS exam? And the answer is no. Passing, there is no pass or fail mark for your fast information. It's only the banding score that reflects your ability of English, and these are mostly needed either for your immigration to an English-speaking countries or studying there, or maybe for scholarship or registration or professional training. Uh, Getting good IELTS scores sometimes doesn't mean even that you're very good at English. I've seen many students who have got good scores, but even still they have got some difficulties in English writing, reading, and unfortunately in speaking. So always be aware that it is your strong desire that will help you learn and develop yourself. Sufyan says, I have subscribed to your YouTube channel. After subscribe, we use the preposition to, and it's very helpful. Thank you very much. Most of my classes are saved there through my YouTube channel, and anyone can watch it anytime. And sometimes I go a live broadcast from the YouTube as well to show different places of the UK, mostly London, Oxford, Cambridge, and my county Essex. And sometimes people are really amazed to see those, different parts of the UK. They have only seen through the movies or through the YouTube videos, but not through the live stream. So, dear viewers, welcome once again. And today we'll explain speaking technique if you want to. And if you've got any questions or comments, please let me know so that I can answer it. Though there are a few students who have subscribed to this lesson, sometimes they don't, they don't come to the lesson, they don't join here. However, as I said, if you're interested, you are more than welcome. Okay. There are a few myths about IELTS exam. The first one is this: IELTS varies between countries. That's totally wrong. There are two formats: IELTS Academic and IELTS General, and our authorities are from the UK, British Council and Cambridge English, and from Australia, IDP Australia. Myth number two: you don't have to take any preparation course. A course is not mandatory, but for your better, you know, scoring in the exam and understanding, you can take an IELTS course. You can take an IELTS course from a qualified teacher. And sometimes some people say that, oh, you can take IELTS only once. No, you can take IELTS every month. And some people say that a native accent is needed for the speaking test. That's wrong. There is no marking up here if having an accent. They give you marks for your pronunciation. And some people say that speaking is the most important section. No, that's not true either. All the four sections are important equally. And sometimes some people say that IELTS exam is more difficult than other English tests. No, that's not true either. And some people say that there is negative marking in IELTS exam. That's not true either. There is no negative marking. If you answered incorrectly or wrongly, you will get 0, but no negative marking. And the most and serious myth is that if you get good score, will indicate that you're a very good speaker and good and knowledgeable person of English, which is also wrong. IELTS exam adjusted test or an exam that determines your level of English, either to qualify as a student or to qualify as an immigrant to some English-speaking countries and some European Indian countries. So it's better for you to know all types of format before you tend to sit for the exam. There are hundreds of websites that offer free tests, sample tests, and I suggest that you better take a sample test to find out what are the modules, what are the features, and how the exams take place in real life. And another important information is that many people say that I took mock test and I got 8, 9. Even some people say that they got 9, but in real life it should be always remember less. Whatever you get in mock test, at least 1.5 to 2 marks less. So if you get 8 in a mock test, you won't get more than 6 in real life test. So your target should be getting 9 in mock test. Though sometimes some people say that mock tests are more difficult than real life, that's not true either. Mock tests are designed in such a way that you can get good score and you can get some motivation from there. Excuse me. So this is the one of the reasons for giving you the offer to sit for the mock test, because it helps you motivate and inspire to move forward. Okay, today we're going to talk about some speaking tips. In the meantime, if you've got any more question, you can always ask me. As you might be aware, in speaking task IELTS exam, there are 3 parts or 3 tasks, you can say. Part 1 or task 1 is the general question about you and the examiner. And most of the common questions are your name, why are you taking the test, and how did you come to the test center, what should I call you or how do I address you. One confusing question is what's your address and how do I address you. Remember that the word address has got two meaning depending on the content and the intonation. And as you might be aware, for the noun we stress on the first part. For the verb we stress on the second part, that means second syllable of the word. So you got to be very careful how the question is asked to you on the day of the test. Even in the mock test and even on this my live classes, I've asked this question to many students, and unfortunately only 5% of them could answer it correctly. So it is better for you to understand this word. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. uh, Speaking task one or part one, common questions. I'll give you some more question hints. One moment, guys. I'm just bringing a question out. Okay, so if you remember that in IELTS exam, the speaking part is always recorded as a part of the evidence that you have, taken the test. Or sometimes some students uh, are not happy about the score. At time they request for a re-evaluation or and made an appeal. In that case, the examiner has to send the recording file to the second or examiner. So if the next assessment gives you the result more than the difference of one, then in that case they make the average and give you the new score. However, it doesn't generally happen. When you have been given a score, you get almost same score even after the second time evaluation or retest of your speaking part. Okay, and as you say, the first part, the task one, the common questions also are asked from work, family, home life, or personal interests. So, how we can answer correctly and effectively? This is the challenging question. An IELTS exam, sorry, understanding a question or listening to a question is very important. As a candidate, if you understand the question well, then you can answer it well. That's obvious, okay? So it's better for you to understand the question. And if you don't understand it, then possibly you can ask the examiner politely to repeat so that you can understand. But bear in mind that if you keep saying excuse me again and again, it will really bring a negative impact and effect on the score, which means that you are either not a good listener or maybe you don't understand those expressions. All right, so after the task one, they go to the task two, which is the cue card. As we might be aware, in cue card, you'll be given a topic on a card, and you'll be given 1 minute to think about the topic. In the topic, there might be some questions which you must answer, and you'll be given a pencil and paper to take some notes about the topics. Then you'll speak on the topic at least for 2 minutes or more. My suggestion will be to speak at least a few minutes, more than 2 minutes, unless the examiner says stop it now. So these are the some rules of task two. But the task three are more analytical, reasonable, and elaborated answers. Okay, and before that, going to the specific particular topic, let me give you some more insights on how you can get better score or good score in IELTS exam. First one is pronunciation. Remember, pronunciation is the way in which a word or a language is spoken. It's not the individual accent. Sometimes people say that, oh, I have to have British accent, Scottish accent, New Zealand accent, South African accent, American accent. Okay, accent is not the matter, it's the pronunciation. And pronunciation is the set of rules that is needed to pronounce the word correctly, either British English or the American English. Bear in mind that there are two types of English in the world that we that we use, speaking and communication. British English, British IPA, or American English, American IPA. And I'm sure you know that IPA stands for National Phonetics Alphabets. We're not going to talk about pronunciation today. Rather, we are going to give you some insights how you can get better score in speaking. And in many cases, students memorize answers from somewhere, from the website or internet. Do not do it. Do not memorize any answers from anywhere. IELTS exams in speaking part is the exam of your creativity, your impromptu, and your intellectual expression on the spot. So if you ever copy or memorize answers from somewhere, the examiner will get it within the twinkle of an eye. Okay? So if you want to be measured, you what you are, be you what you are, I should say. That means you should speak naturally, articulately, in your original tone. Do not fake, do not copy, okay? Speak as in your natural tone. And before I go further, I would like to show you a video from the British Council about the speaking. So, fluency, the first and most important part of IELTS exam is fluency and coherence. What does fluency mean? It is the speaking speed, it is the rhythm, it is the step-by-step expression of your thought or the topic. Uh, just let me give you a simplified example. I'm sure sometimes we need to go in some building through upstairs stairs, okay, or maybe the supermarket or many places. So when you step, obviously step one step at a time, which means one step is connected to another and that moves forward. So cohesion means the same when you're explaining step by step about a topic which leads the topic forward without having any confusions. All right, so let's show the IELTS, the British Council, fluency and coherence. How about their viewers? This is available only in the British Council's website. Okay, I believe that I need to replay and explain something. Right, so that is the IELTS exams, speaking fluency and coherence. In principle, it could be your network connections, so it's better to check your connection. All right. I was not talking. It was a recorded instruction video from the British Council that was explaining the information about this IELTS speaking part. So let's move on again. As you can see, don't memorize answers. Number two, don't use big and unfamiliar words that you don't know. Oftentimes, I have noticed that many of our learners have the trend to use unfamiliar, very unusual vocabs, and they ended up using it wrongly. Remember that when you learn a word, you must know how to use them correctly. I always say about learning a word, always learn a word and try to know the what kind of parts of speech and make family words from the same word. So contain, collocation and connotation, the three things are needed for the IELTS exam vocabs, and also any other vocabs about or outside of the IELTS exam as well. So the more you know, the more you become experienced and you become motivated to move ahead. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So the suggestion we use a range of vocab that you know which is relevant to the topic being discussed. Look at the topics in tip 10, making vocabulary list or mind maps to help you learn more words and phrases connected to these topic areas. Use a range of grammatical structures. Oftentimes, students do not use different kinds of grammar structure. They use the same kinds of patterns for answering questions, but bear in mind that if you want to get good score, especially if your target is more than 7 or above, you know, then you must use different kinds of grammar structure. Okay. So, so I suggest that you better know the different kinds of criteria of speaking part, and you might be aware that the marking criteria of IELTS speaking part, you get 25% marks for fluency and coherence, which means out of 9 you're going to get 2.25 marks, and that is achievable. And you get another 25% marks for using vocabs. We call it lexical resource, okay, which is another 2.25. That is also possible. You get another 25% mark for grammatical range and accuracy, which is another 2.25. Now if you count this 2.25, say 2.25 multiplied by 3, and you get 6.75 easily in IELTS speaking part. Okay, now in the pronunciation is another part where you get another 2.25%, which is 2.25 or 25%. Now it depends on you, your practice, your communication level, how much mark you get from there. Let's assume you get 50% of the 2.25, and half of the 2.25 is, say, 1.13, 125 actually. Okay, now if we add 6.75 plus 1.125, and your marking comes, you see 7, around 8. Which is 7.825, yeah, 825. Because there is no marking in 7.825 in IELTS exam, you will most probably get 8 in speaking. So the marking is every half, like 6.5, or 7, 7.5, or 8, 8.5, and 9. So it totally depends on you how you practice the pronunciation. You see, it's very easy to get 8 in IELTS exam. So let's move on. Now try to use different kinds of grammar structures, and remember it's very important to use complex, simple and compound sentences so that you get good score. Remember that you need to know grammar. Though many times many teachers say that you don't need to know grammar, that's totally a wrong information, especially if you're planning to sit for any certificate exams like IELTS or Cambridge Proficiency Test or Canadian English Test or Pearson Test of Australia or TOEFL exam or CELTA or Delta or any other equivalent exam apart from IELTS. Grammar is needed 100% accurately if you want to get good score. And don't worry about your accent, as I have explained earlier, because there is no marking and there is no special criteria that if you have accent or not. Examiners want you to speak naturally, articulately with your original tone. Okay, and for any cases, if you don't understand the question from the examiner, you must ask politely to the examiner that, sorry, I couldn't really get you. Could you please paraphrase or rephrase? I'm sure you know these two words. Especially in writing, we use paraphrase. And rephrase means when you think that vocab is a bit difficult, then the examiner, obviously will explain in a different way. Easier words. Okay, so excuse me. You may pause a little bit to think, but remember that do not pause more than 5 seconds to think. Do not be repetitive. All right. Sometimes some people use this kind of feelers, but I suggest not to use. Though some websites said that, oh, that's an interesting question. And when you use this kind of expressions, definitely the examiner will be able to understand that you have memorized it from some website. Okay, like the second expression, I have never thought about that, but now you want to add your comment. And let me see. Sometimes you can say that that's a good point. Wow, that's a difficult question, but I'll try and answer it. Well, some people say that that's the case, but however, I think, let me think about that for a minute. Okay, do you know what are crutch words or feelers? In everyday spoken English or during our speaking, sometimes, we use crutch words or feelers. These are the words that we use repetitively in our speaking, like well, or maybe actually, or you know what, etc. And sometimes People answer it yes, yes, like sometimes, sometimes, no, no. All right. Remember that it's better to avoid them. Use just once. Like, actually, well, it is better to avoid them if you want to get good score. 7 number tip would be extend your answers again. Try and answer the examiner's questions in full rather than saying yes and no. They gave the example in the video, what do you do? Instead of saying I'm a teacher, it's better to say I've been teaching in a Newark primary school for the last 5 years as a junior school teacher. Always try to extend your answer. Do not be limited to yes or no or right or wrong. Always try to answer it with elaborations, extension. And when your answers are short, that shows the examiner that you can't talk in detail about a topic. The examiner says why. They are prompting you to give reasons for your answer and to extend more. Remember that. That's important. Okay. So once again, guys, you're watching the live stream from the UK, and our local time is 7:13 a.m. Saturday morning. If you're interested to join my class or lesson, you are welcome. What you have to do is you have to subscribe to my lesson either on a trial basis or by spending Hello Cash for a month. Bear in mind that if you are subscribed to a qualified and competent teacher, you'll be able to know lots of things you will not know from a website or any other teacher. Being an IELTS coach, it is my priority to help and support all of our students. And honestly speaking, a good number of my students got very good scores in IELTS exam, where the high score was 8.5 and the lowest was 6. It was only possible for those hard work of the students who dedicated their time, who spent lots of time for studying and practicing. Practice is the key word or magic word for your development and for your improvement. And we said the more you practice, the more you learn, and the more you become expert. Practice makes you confident. Practice gives you progress, or it brings the positive energy within you. Okay, so that is the number 7 tip. Tip number 8, smiling helps pronunciation. Always smile. Do not be nervous or shaky or sheepish or shy during the day of the test. And if you ever feel that uncomfortable, then it will be difficult for you to answer even the known question. And I have a very bad experience about one of my students who got 0 in the speaking task. Though there is no marking in 0, but the examiner was so angry and gave 0. So basically what happened, the student went to the task 1, teacher asked him, what's your name? The person could answer the name. And after that, he started sweating and trembling. And he was not able to answer any of the questions of the task 1, 2, and 3. And eventually he got 0 in this. And he was very unhappy. He took some lessons from me. Okay. And after a few months, he registered the IELTS exam again. And you'd be surprised, he got 6 straight away. And that's really a greatest improvement for being a IELTS candidate. And it was his targeted score of 6. And the next tip would be do not speak monotone. And I'm sure more or less you know this what is monotone. Monotones are like a robotic tone, same types of tone. And being an English learner or speaker, we always try to use our emotional expressions in this conversation, which is natural. So I will suggest to all of our IELTS candidates speak naturally, articulately, and do not use any kind of robotic voice. And I'm sure you know what is a robotic voice. If you ever have watched a movie called Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where Arnold Schwarzenegger was the robot and he speaks in a monotone and robotic way. So that's an example. Okay. Um, so sometimes when you speak, we produce a flat sound, a monotone, with little variation. This makes it more difficult to express what you say and makes it more difficult for the listener to identify what words of your message are important. Yes, remember, when you use a correct intonation or tone, it shows which parts of the sentences and which words are important in the sentence. Let me give a simple example like, do you know him? Now we're stressing on do you. Okay, do you know him? No, I don't know him either. You see, no, you are stressing. That means that is the uh, stressed part. And every word and every sentence, there are some stressed words. We call them functional words. Okay, and there is also some words that are not important and unstressed words. And actually, it depends on the practice. And these are the part of phonetics. Phonetics is the hardest part of English learning. Not everyone can learn it well, not everyone can teach it well, which is why we don't have many phonetics teachers on this app. Only few teachers are there who help you teaching, who help you learn and develop your phonetics, your sound. Okay. Sometimes you can use a gesture or body language while you're speaking. Practice IELTS topics, that is very good suggestion, like tourism and travel, education, transport, environment, family life, sport and recreation, crime and punishment, the internet, advertising, and retail. Okay, let's go on. And fluency, again the fast part, and coherence. Fluency and coherence refers to the ability to talk with normal levels of continuity, rate, and effort, and to link ideas and language together to form a coherent, connected speech. The key indicators of fluency are speech rate and speech continuity. So, though I have noticed that many of our learners have the trend to speak very fast and slow either, not both of them are accepted in IELTS speaking tasks. Your speed should be average or medium pace, not too fast or not too slow. You may have noticed when I speak in a class, I try to speak slowly. not that much slow, like a turtle speed. It is only for your better understanding and my thoughts, because it's really important for being an English learner to know the which speed should I speak. So, briefly, use grammar, correct grammar. Do not mumble, speak clearly. Try to use the accurate grammar. Do not try to use new words or phrases you're not sure of. Self-correction. If you're making mistakes about the grammar or any other situation, always make sure you correct it by yourself. But the matter is that you have to know which one is mistake and which one is incorrect in that case. But I've found many students, and they say that, teacher, we don't know how to find out our own mistakes in writing as well as speaking. Okay. Then maintain a 3 to 5 seconds gap. I explain it almost every lesson. When speaking, do not give a gap or be quiet more than 5 seconds. Uh, Practically, the example is the global warming, for example, the topic. And I started speaking. Global warming is the warming of the globe. Right. You have to simplify the words. It is how our planet Earth becomes hotter. And what would happen if the global warming and the Earth becomes hotter? Um, it will create the northern hemisphere, the iceberg melts. Now, if it melts, there's a chance of flood all over the planet Earth. Okay, so this is just a side effect, or disadvantage of global warming. Okay, and when you're saying, do not give a gap, as I said, like global warming is warming. Then I've started thinking, hey, what should I choose the next word? Okay, then yeah, pause for more than 10 seconds because that clock is going on. So teacher is going to check and count the time. Okay, so you got to be careful about the gap. Be confident and positive while you're talking. So even if you are making mistakes, you know that do not stop. That will be my another suggestion. Don't worry. It is expected that candidate will make mistakes. So you don't have to be worried about that. And Maya, no, in speaking there are 3 parts: task 1, task 2, and task 3, or part 1, part 2, or part 3. And to know, stop using short words, or do not be repetitive. Do not use the same words. If you use different kinds of vocabs, so do not use one vocab more than once. If you have to use for third time, use the synonyms or alternative, almost similar meaning. Make it personal when you're giving examples. Like in the video, they gave an example of the nephews. My nephew always watches television at home. He doesn't want to study. So when you're answering, remember, give this reason, elaboration, and interesting way, and interesting way. So why your nephew watches the television show. Then you have to give an example. As there are many TV channels are there, people have generally tend to watch it, and they spend hours after hours. And if somebody watches television whole day sitting on a couch, what could happen? The person might have bulky or obesity, okay, or maybe consuming more food because it's not doing anything. Okay, so these are some of the examples. Make it interesting when you're speaking. Number 13, stick to the point. It's very important when you're speaking about the topics. Only speak about the topic. Do not bring any unnecessary information or thought because it is not related to your topic at all. It's irrelevant. 14, talk as much as you can. So, as I said, when giving the explanation of the task 2 in IELTS exam, when you're elaborating the thoughts, speak as much as you can. Do not worry about the 2 minutes or the time frame. Speak naturally. Follow the pronunciation techniques. See, this is very important. Use correct intonation. Speak articulately. I said this information earlier. 16, use correct context, collocation, and connotation. This has been also discussed. Use compound and complex sentence. That's very important. And conditionals wherever possible. So grammar is important. If you don't know how to create a compound or complex sentence, or how to use a conditional sentence effectively, then it's high time for you to know it. Okay. So grammar is needed. Correct sound. Especially there are two questions. One is for the demonstration of the present, past, and future tense, and another second conditional sentence. Remember, these two grammar questions are very common. Okay, guys. Thank you very much once again for watching it silently. I know that many of you are interested to send me messages or talk to me, guys. It's very easy. You have to subscribe to my lesson. Because if you don't subscribe, you'll not be able to send messages, you'll not be able to hop on here. Okay, this is how Hello works. Thank you very much once again, guys. If you have learned something, then practice it before you forget. Practice is the key word or magic word. Okay, you take care. I'll see you later. Bye.